Right, the first part of this video, because this is a practice video, this is me thinking about my process of how I make videos. And I think one of the things I find with me making videos is that I spend a lot of time trying to work up shit. And it takes me forever to get it done. And half the time I don't even put anything on film. So my idea is I do have some notes here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to just try and do a practice run here, see what I get, whether it's worth going on and actually making a proper video with it. But also, this is like my first draft, and I think I am somebody who does well having at least a first draft and then coming back and going like, okay, I can rearrange stuff, I can drop stuff, I can try and better get across my points with a second try. So this is me xcrpt, which is an idea that I have for a feature on my public channel where I take an excerpt from a book I'm reading, read out the excerpt, and talk about specifically that hunk of stuff, possibly a little bit within the context of the bigger work, but just focusing, just kind of enjoying focusing on something at that level of like, okay, word choice, of themes, of everything that comes up for me in hopefully what's a juicy excerpt to better discuss books. Because I think the thing that I find frustrating about a lot of book discussion is that it's very general. It doesn't get into specifics, and there's a value to slowing down. I think if there's anything that I can go from what I want out of reading, it's slowing down and really trying to kind of get into the minutia. I don't know. This does not obviously translate into massive views, but it's something that will please me, and I think I need to find stuff that pleases me in year 8 or 7 plus, whatever. What's going to please me? So yeah, let's quickly do excerpt theater. So I guess the number one thing is how am I going to do little intros for each one of these, and not just get into a long blah, blah, blah discussion. I think just saying, hi, this is Excerpt Theater, where I take a short selection from a work I'm reading, read it out loud, and I discuss it a little bit, just to get into the meat, to try and get into the meat of things, I think it can be very illuminating to stop and pause and just, you read a single paragraph and go, what did that mean? And you think about that. That can be that can be a very valuable way of reading versus saying, I read this entire book and I generally think these things about it. So yeah, obviously that's a first draft of that kind of idea. We'll go on forward. So the work in question today is The Wonderful Adventures of Niles by Selma Lagerlöf, a Swedish author. This was published 1906 to 1907. There's 2 parts to it. And then the translation I'm using is Velma Swanson Howard, 1913. So this is all about young Niles, a like 8 or 9-year-old really bratty, unpleasant Swedish boy named Niles, who is shrunk to the size of a thimble by an elf and travels with wild geese, having adventures. So, and one of these adventures that they have, one of the things that he's quite excited to he finally gets to attend, is a great yearly gathering of all the animals, where many perform, but the stars, the big event of this are the cranes. And here's the section. And then came the gray, dusk-clad birds with plumes in their wings and red feather ornaments on their necks. The big birds with their tall legs, their slender throats, their small heads came gliding down the knot with an abandon that was full of mystery. As they glided forward, they swung round, half flying, half dancing. With wings gracefully lifted, they moved with an inconceivable rapidity. There was something marvelous and strange about their dance. It was as though gray shadows had played a game which the eye could scarcely follow. It was as if they had learned it from the mists that hover over desolate morasses. There was witchcraft in it. All those who had never before been on Culleberg understood why the whole meeting took its name from the crane's dance. There was wildness in it, but yet the feeling which it awakened was a delicious longing. No one thought any more about struggling. Instead, both the winged and those who had no wings all wanted to raise themselves eternally, lift themselves above the clouds, seek that which was hidden beyond them, leave the oppressive body that dragged them down to earth, and soar away to the infinite. Such longing after the unattainable, after the hidden mysteries back of this life, the animals felt only once a year, and this was on the day when they beheld the Grt Crn Dnc. So, yeah, things to probably have noted takes place in Culleberg, that these animals that Selmer Lagerlof comes up with, he is able to talk with, and they're able to talk back to him. They still act like very much like animals, but they're given kind of a cognition that probably helps it kind of relate in this children's story. And I mean, it is a children's story. Niles is a young child, and you get the sense that this is aimed at a young child. But when you get that, you also get this kind of interesting mix of kind of like the animals versus civilization, that Lagerlof, she likes, in addition to kind of almost a fable-like thing of like, you know, this art form of the cranes dancing, very much kind of, you can see this connecting to human beings and how a dance, a work of art, maybe can help you forget for just a moment the daily year-on kind of existential struggle for life, and you for a moment you forget about that and you think about something something beyond themselves. There's a lot of kind of the language in this little section here. There's half flying, half dancing with the birds. There's talks about like, oh, there might be witchcraft in here. You know, there's this wildness and delicious longing. It's very much, it's interesting. I'm not somebody who believes in a higher power, but I am very much attracted to works that go for kind of the spiritual thing and the spiritual side of things. And I do find that that's in here. There's this wildness, delicious longing, eternally seeking, soaring away, yearning for the infinite, the unattainable infinite. There's the mysteries. You know, it's interesting that there's this whole thing of like, you know, leave the oppressive body that dragged them down to earth and soar away towards the infinite, which is something that predates Christianity. This idea of whatever I am, it's like there's this yearning to kind of transcend just your physical boundaries and become more. And that's it's an interesting thing to find in children's literature. This kind of a longing, kind of a longingness in this. Yeah, you see, this is where I can see I need to do a little bit more work. I've got quotes of words here. I've got quotes of words here, but I need to kind of connect things to turn this into an actual video. I guess it's a striking thing of like, there's this huge animal gathering where everybody kind of does their part, but it's like, here comes the great artists, and these great artists make you yearn to fly yourself, even if you do not have wings, that make you want to just drop your body and just kind of rise into the infinite. Forget about, it's like, there's something up there of, you know, such longing after the unattainable, after the hidden mysteries back of this life, the animals felt only once a year, And this was on the day when they beheld the Grt Crn Dnc. So, longing after the unattainable, the hidden mysteries back of this life. So something, that veil, that beyondness thing. I probably in here I should mention that Lagerlof was a Nobel Prize winning author, and that her work, of her works, this is the one that seems to remain. It seems to be the one that's the most popular one that remains. It reminds me of someone like Kipling, who a lot of his work has gotten discarded, but the Jungle Book is still kind of still there, and still has that kind of that feel to it. You see, it's taken me a while to get to this, so I'm kind of struggling to kind of connect my points. I guess it's a spirituality. You see, this is good to do a kind of just a practice run and to chat it, to talk it out, because I'm trying to think about what is here that I want to talk about. Maybe just that it's like, it's the kind of the surprise to find in the middle of a child's book a yearning towards the infinite, leaving the oppressive body that dragged them down to earth and soar away towards the infinite. I don't even know if that's something I actually agree with. I've had moments of kind of transcendental bliss. I'm not somebody who chases those. I think those come along organically or not. And you cherish them when you have them, and you see how much you can incorporate that into your meat life. And there's the hidden mysteries back of this life. The animals felt only once a year, and this was the day when they beheld the Grt Crn Dnc. I do come back to the whole thing of like, there's some kind of an artistry going on here, which has unlocked in the audience that longing. And isn't that like, that's kind of a function of art, which makes you think that Lagerlof is talking about the cranes, but is also talking about how art and how beauty can help you get out of yourself and realize you live in a larger universe, larger existence than just what is in your tiny little sphere of perception. Yeah. So I will go back over this, see if I can't gather up some points and make this into a smaller, very much more tight little video. Not tight, but much more condensed video that doesn't waste people's time if they happen to click onto it. Who knows? Maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. All right, I will leave it there. More videos later. Do I need to have a whole discussion? I think I need something, or else I'm just somebody who's some bozo who's reading out a paragraph and going, trying to give it context before, and then trying to express fairly briefly why I picked it. Like, why did I pick this? Why did I pick this? I think I picked it because it's striking in its mature adult viewpoint, and of a kind of a longing for more, a melancholy, a sadness. Is there sadness in there? There's raise themselves eternally. All wanted to raise themselves eternally, lift themselves above the clouds, seek that which was hidden beyond them, leave the oppressive body that dragged them down to earth, and soar away to the infinite. Yeah, oppressive body that dragged them down to earth, but also seeking what was hidden beyond them. Mystery, the mystery of life, the mystery of what's beyond, the mystery of if you believe in that, what's beyond. See, that's where I get into the whole. If I feel like if you transcend life, then you're dead, and that's you don't have a conscious thing to enjoy. You can't, if you're dead, you can't enjoy the cranes dancing in the sky. All right, I'm going to leave it there. More videos later.